Luke 15, 11-32. The parable of the prodigal son. And Jesus said, There was a man who had 2 sons, and the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the share of property that is coming to me. And he divided his property between them. Not many days later, the younger son gathered all he had and took a journey into a far country, and there he squandered his property on reckless living. And when he had spent everything, a severe famine arose in that country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country, who sent him into his fields to feed pigs. And he was longing to be fed with the pods that the pigs ate, and no one gave him anything. But when he came to himself, he said, How many of my father's hired servants have more than enough bread, but I perish here with hunger? I will arise and go to my father, and I will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me as one of your hired servants. And he arose and came to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and felt compassion, and ran and embraced him and kissed him. And the son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his servants, Bring quickly the best robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand and shoes on his feet. And bring the fattened calf and kill it, and let us eat and celebrate. For this my son was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. And they began to celebrate. Now his older son was in the field, and as he came and drew near to the house, he heard music and dancing. And when he called one of the servants and asked what these things meant, he said to him, Your brother has come, and your father has killed the fattened calf, because he has received him back safe and sound. But he was angry and refused to go in. His father came out and entreated him, but he answered his father, Look, these many years I have served you, and I never disobeyed your command. Yet you never gave me a young goat, that I might celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours came, who has devoured your property with prostitutes, you killed the fattened calf for him. And he said to him, Son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. It was fitting to celebrate and be glad, for this your brother was dead and is alive. He was lost and is found. And they began to celebrate.
To me, love means that you're willing to sacrifice and put another person's needs or wants before your own sometimes. And I get this from our ultimate example of love, who is what it was shown by Jesus. And he gave his life for us, and so he is the ultimate definition of love. And I chose Jesus as my first love and my main love because he is constant. He will never fail me, even though people may fail me. And so when I put my rock and my foundation as God, then there's nothing that could go wrong, because God will always be there to support me and love me.
Love is a complicated thing, as defined by culture, but it's very simple if you look at the Bible. Love is just, you can look at the ultimate example that Jesus died on the cross for our sins so that we go to heaven, we can be sons and daughters of Christ without any prompting, he just took on all the burden himself and put all of us before him and made the ultimate sacrifice. And I think that in this week and around Valentine's Day, there's a lot of love in the air, there's a lot of love going around. I think that we just have to remember that, as it says in 1 John 4:19, we love because he first loved us, and it's important to remember and to emulate the first love that was described in the Bible. But of course, it's tough to think about what love could mean to us with all these influences from like movies, culture, TV shows, other people around us. And especially I think that for me, how I first came to understand my first and true love for Jesus was that I think I put a lot of things in my life above myself, I thought, but I actually was prioritizing myself in life. My first semester in college, I joined so many clubs and just tried so hard in school. But I realized that I was empty inside and didn't really have any love in my life. And how it happened was that after a particularly bad night, I came back to my roommates, and they were both actually religious, one Catholic and one Christian, and they came to me and we decided to talk about just Jesus in the Bible. And 6 hours later at 8 a.m. we decided that we decided to start reading every week, or every day actually, a few chapters of the gospel. And after a few weeks, I decided to go out to church actually. And on Easter Day, coincidentally, on that Easter weekend, there was a service on Easter Sunday, and I really felt that after learning so much about what he had done for me, because in the past, I just kind of decided to not think about and not learn about what Christianity was about or just religion was about. And after learning about all of that, and I just heard God calling me, it's Andrew. After learning so much and just knowing that I gave the ultimate sacrifice for you, how could you not devote yourself to me? And I decided on that day to be just devoted and just become just a disciple of Christ. And I think that day was one of the happiest of my life, where I truly felt love for the first time.
So love has a lot of components to it, but I think at the very core, it just means to put someone before yourself. So the reason I chose to accept Jesus as my Lord and Savior was, growing up, I kind of had this mentality that I was a really good person. I didn't kill anyone and I didn't steal anything, so obviously I would go to heaven if I died. But one day I intentionally hurt someone very badly, and that's when I looked at myself and I was like, Peter, who are you really? Like, you think you know who you are, but you really don't. You're not a good person. And my friend at that time actually came over to my house, and he looked at me and he was like, hey Peter, if you were to die right now, do you think you would go to heaven? And for the first time in my life, I said no. Like, I may look normal on the outside, but when I'm pushed to my limit, I'm terrible. I don't even know who I am. And that's when he really shared the gospel with me, the good news of Jesus Christ, and how Jesus accepts me and forgives me of my sins. And regardless of what I do, I'm still loved by him. And that's the whole point. I can't make it to heaven. I don't deserve heaven. But Jesus paid that price for me. So I'm able to be loved by him and love him at the same time.